Scruff and Nonsense, written and told by Kiefer Adams. Scruffy had learned his lesson and says nothing at all. Or so it seemed. A few weeks after he had been rebuilt, the old truck was back to his old tricks again. He reclaimed his title as the ringleader of the Troublesome Trucks and was soon causing havoc for all the engines in the yards of Duck's branch line. But poor Oliver and Toad struggled and suffered the most. Scruffy wanted to pay Oliver out for pulling him apart, and the tricks and trouble that Scruffy caused was already taking its toll. Even the Fat Controller noticed how much Oliver was struggling and promised he would sort Scruffy out one way or another. "But what on earth is he going to do?" Oliver asked one evening. "He can't make a truck behave overnight. It's unheard of."
"Take it from me, Mr. Oliver,"
observed Toad.
"the Fat Controller's always had a way of sorting out engines, coaches or trucks who cause trouble. And don't forget, he's also dealt with the toughest of diesels, so I'm sure he's got nothing to worry about."
Oliver sighed. The Fat Controller rebuilt Scruffy in order for it to give himself a better name. He groaned. Maybe that hasn't worked after all. But Oliver was soon to discover that Toad was right. The Fat Controller decided that first of all, Scruffy was to be stripped as a privately owned wagon. He sent the old truck to the works to be repainted, and soon there was nothing left of Scruffy apart from him looking like any other truck in the yard. Scruffy was miserable. Each time he was shunted in a siding towards his fellow trucks, he would complain bitterly about his mistreatment, as he called it.
"Comrades,"
he would bellow,
"the steam engines are the reason why I'm like this now. Make sure you sort 'em out one by one. Forward, comrades. Be as troublesome as you can when you can."
And the trucks promised that they would. The trucks tried everything to rebel for Scruffy, but nothing worked. They tried to derail Duck, but he managed to hold firm. They nearly pushed James down Gordon's Hill, but luckily he held back. And they even tried to uncouple themselves from Douglas. But of course, they were stopped by the guard. The Fat Controller then suggested to send Scruffy to another part of the island and keep him out of the way. "Good riddance too," grumbled Oliver. "I'm glad he's gone. Hopefully he'll start behaving this time."
"I'm not too sure, Mr. Oliver,"
said Toad.
"I hear the trucks on the other side of the island are just as badly behaved as the ones here."
"Well, Scruffy better get used to the change," said Oliver firmly. "As far as I'm concerned, he's on his final warning." Oliver stormed away, leaving a very concerned Toad behind. Scruffy was just as troublesome as he was before. He was sent to the quarry on Thomas's branch line, but even that didn't sort his behaviour out. Thomas had a hard time marshalling all the trucks together. Eventually, Scruffy lost patience. Thomas marshalled a long line of trucks for Mavis to take away. He was shunting 4 into place, one of them being Scruffy, when the old truck's chance came.
"Forward, comrades!"
he roared. He and the other 3 trucks surged against Thomas. "Stop! Stop!" he wailed. Scruffy and the trucks pushed him towards an unsafe set of buffers at the other side of the quarry. With a splintering crash, Thomas fell through the buffers and was buried wheel-deep in gravel. The trucks giggled in their silly way, and Scruffy bellowed at the top of his voice, "Long live Troublesome Trucks!" But he wouldn't be celebrating for long. A few days later, Scruffy found himself coupled to a long line of old and battered trucks that would be taken to the coal mine. Donald and Duck stared coldly at him as Percy was preparing to take the train away.
Please, give me one more chance.
Scruffy begged.
I'll do anything. I'll make it right.
You had your chance to make it right, snapped Duck, and look where it's got you now. Didn't dare think you can try and get our forgiveness now, snorted Donald. You made our working lives a misery. I hope we never see the back of you again. With that said, Scruffy was led away with the other trucks. Percy often worked at the mines from time to time, and one day he had been asked to clear a blockage from one of the shafts. Percy had biffed the long line of trucks too fast and too hard. He wasn't sure, but he thought the truck at the front of the train had sounded all too familiar with the chorus of
On, on,
before the mine started to collapse.